the impossible machine's outer colony. Elysium glimmered like a jewel against the darkness of space. Once a thriving mining outpost, it had grown into humanity's farthest settlement from Earth. Its domed cities and orbital platforms housed over 2 million people. But today, the colony was in chaos. Dr. Olivia Mason ran through the underground military facility, her lab coat flapping behind her. Warning sirens blared overhead. Red emergency lights cast eerie shadows across the walls. Status. "Report," she shouted as she entered the command center. Commander Daniel Wright looked up from the holographic display, his face grim. "The Caraxian fleet just destroyed our outer defense satellites. They'll reach planetary orbit in less than 48 hours. Olivia's heart sank. The Caraxians were an aggressive alien species that had appeared at the edges of human space 6 months ago. Their technology surpassed humanity's best weapons, and they showed no interest in communication. They simply attacked, destroyed, and moved on. "What about the Titans?" she asked. Wright's expression darkened further. "Still non-operational. We've tried every pilot candidate in the colony. No one can handle the neural load." The Titan mechs represented humanity's last hope. Massive battle machines standing over 30 meters tall, armed with experimental weapons that might actually damage Caraxian ships. But they remained useless, silent giants in their hangar bay. "Me see the latest test results," Olivia said, moving to a nearby console. The screen showed brain scans of the most recent pilot candidates. All showed the same pattern. Massive neural overload followed by unconsciousness. The Titan's control systems were too complex for the human mind to process. "We designed them to be operated by a single pilot," Olivia muttered. "The AI should be handling the secondary systems, but something in the interface is overwhelming our people." A technician rushed into the room. "Commander, a civilian shuttle just crashed near the South Agricultural Dome. Caraxian scout ships are moving into the atmosphere." Wright swore under his breath. "They're coming faster than we predicted." He turned to his communications officer. "Begin full evacuation procedures. Priority 1. Outside the command center, 12-year-old Zach Bennett pressed his ear against the air vent. He had been exploring the ventilation system when the alarm started, and now found himself an accidental spy. His father worked as a maintenance technician in the facility, and Zach often snuck away to explore restricted areas when his dad was busy with repairs. He knew he'd be in trouble if caught, but his curiosity always won out. Zach had heard about the Titans. Everyone on Elysium had. They were supposed to protect the colony, but something was wrong with them. As people rushed from the command center, Zach slipped out of his hiding place and followed the flow of activity. He wanted to see these mysterious machines before everyone had to leave. Following the signs to Hangar Bay 7, he ducked behind supply crates whenever security personnel passed by. The evacuation had created enough confusion that a small boy could move relatively unnoticed. Finally, he reached a massive set of doors labeled Titan Project Authorized Personnel Only. The doors stood partially open, with technicians rushing in and out carrying equipment. Zach slipped inside and froze in awe. 5 colossal machines stood in a row, each different in design but equally imposing. They resembled armored giants with weapon systems integrated into their arms and shoulders. Their metal surfaces gleamed under the hangar lights. "Beautiful, aren't they?" said a voice behind him. Zach jumped and turned to find Dr. Mason looking down at him with a mixture of amusement and concern. "I'm sorry," he stammered. "I just wanted to see them before we had to leave." Instead of scolding him, she smiled sadly. "They were supposed to save us, but no one can control them." As Zach looked back at the dormant giants, something strange happened. The closest Titan, a blue and silver machine with a sphere-shaped cockpit, seemed to hum. A faint light flickered in its chest area, only Zach noticed it, and somehow he felt the machine was responding to him. Zach Bennett was known throughout Elysium Colony as that kid who keeps getting into trouble. He didn't mean to cause problems, but his curiosity often led him into restricted areas. His father, Paul Bennett, worked long shifts maintaining the colony's environmental systems, leaving Zach with plenty of time to explore. When the evacuation order came, Zach was supposed to report to Shelter 12 with the other children from his living sector. Instead, he lingered near the Titan hangar, drawn by the massive war machines he had glimpsed earlier. The colony was in chaos. People rushed through corridors carrying whatever possessions they could grab. Emergency announcements blared over speakers, directing civilians to evacuation points where shuttles would take them to underground bunkers. All non-essential personnel must evacuate immediately. "This is not a drill," the automated voice repeated. Zach's father had messaged him. "Go straight to Shelter 12. I'll find you there when my shift ends." But as Zach made his way toward the shelter, a distant explosion rocked the colony. The lights flickered, and people screamed. When the emergency bulkheads began closing to contain damage, Zach found himself cut off from his intended path. "This way," a security officer shouted, directing a group of stranded civilians down an alternate route. Following the group, Zach realized they were being led past the Titan project facility. As they hurried by the partially open hangar doors, another explosion hit closer this time. The impact threw Zach against the wall and separated him from the group. Dazed and alone in the suddenly empty corridor, Zach made a split-second decision. He slipped through the hangar doors. Inside, the massive space was eerily quiet compared to the chaos outside. The 5 Titans stood in their docking stations, towering over everything. Emergency lighting cast blue shadows across their metallic forms. "Hello?" Zach called out, his voice echoing. "Is anyone here?" No answer came. The technical crews had evacuated, leaving behind only the dormant machines. Zach approached the nearest Titan, the blue and silver one that had seemed to respond to him earlier. Up close, it was even more impressive. Its cockpit was accessible via a maintenance platform that extended to the massive machine's chest area. Another explosion shook the facility. The lights went out completely for several seconds before the emergency backup systems kicked in. Frightened, Zach climbed onto the platform seeking shelter. As he touched the Titan's outer hull, a soft hum began vibrating through the metal. Panel lights that had been dark suddenly illuminated, flowing in, sequenced toward the cockpit. "Whoa," Zach whispered, pulling his hand back. The lights dimmed slightly but didn't go out. Curiosity overwhelming his fear, he placed his palm flat against the hull again. The response was immediate. The cockpit door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Neural interface activated. "Seeking pilot. Connection," announced a synthetic voice. Before Zach could decide what to do, Dr. Mason entered the hangar with Commander Wright and 2 security officers. "The power fluctuations are coming from—" Dr. Mason stopped mid-sentence, spotting Zach on the platform. "What are you doing in here? It's not safe." Then she noticed the activated cockpit. "Wait, did you do that?" Wright stepped forward. "Impossible. We've had trained pilots trying for months." "It responded to me," Zach said simply. "It feels friendly." Dr. Mason rushed to a nearby console, bringing up diagnostic screens. "The neural interface is active and stable. It's actually accepting his brain patterns." "He's just a kid," Wright protested. "That might be exactly why it's working," Dr. Mason said, excitement rising in her voice. "Adult brains are fully developed, set in their neural pathways, but a child's brain is still forming, more adaptive, more flexible." She looked at Zach with new interest. "Would you be willing to try something for me?" Another explosion, closer this time, made the decision for everyone. "The Caraxians have breached the outer defense line," an officer reported. "We're out of options." Zach looked at the open Titan cockpit, then back at the adults. "What do I need to do?" he asked. Dr. Mason quickly led Zach into a small room adjacent to the Titan hangar. Inside, screens displayed brain scan images while Commander Wright paced nervously. "We've been thinking about this all wrong," Dr. Mason explained, setting up monitoring equipment. "Adult brains are fully formed. Their neural pathways are fixed. But children's brains are still developing. They're more adaptable." "So you think a kid can control these things when trained military pilots can't?" Wright asked, skepticism heavy in his voice. "The Titan interface requires the brain to form completely new neural pathways. Adults can't create these pathways fast." enough before the system overloads them. But children, she turned to Zach. Children's brains are constantly creating new connections. Zach sat in a chair while Dr. Mason attached sensors to his forehead. Will it hurt? He asked. No, she assured him. We're just going to run a simple test first. On the main screen, a simplified Titan control interface appeared. Zach stared at it, uncertain. Just try to move the virtual arm, Dr. Mason encouraged. Don't think about how. Just imagine it moving. Zach concentrated. Nothing happened at first, but then the virtual arm twitched slightly. Within minutes, he was moving it smoothly across the screen. Incredible, Dr. Mason whispered. His neural adaptation rate is off the charts. Commander Wright frowned. Even if this works, we're talking about putting a child in a war machine. He's what, 12? I'm almost 13, Zach corrected. That doesn't make it better, Wright sighed. There has to be another way. An officer burst into the room. Sir, Caraxian forces have landed in sectors 4 and 7. Our ground troops can't hold them back. The commander's face hardened. How many civilian transports have launched? 60%, sir. The rest are loading now. Zach thought of his father, who would be helping with the evacuation. Is my dad safe? No one answered his question. We need more time, Dr. Mason said. If we can hold them off long enough for the evacuation to complete. All eyes turned to Zach. I can do it, he said, his voice small but determined. I want to help. Wright shook his head. This is wrong. We're supposed to protect children, not send them into battle. With respect, sir, Dr. Mason countered. If we do nothing, there won't be any children left to protect. The Caraxians don't take prisoners. The commander closed his eyes briefly. Run a full simulation first. If it doesn't work perfectly, we abort. 20 minutes later, Zach sat in a simulation pod designed to mimic the Titan's cockpit. The neural interface helmet felt heavy on his head. Remember, Dr. Mason's voice came through the speakers. Don't fight the connection. Let your mind adapt to it naturally. The simulation started. At first, the flood of information was overwhelming. Zach gasped as his vision filled with targeting data, system diagnostics, and sensor readings. His vitals are spiking, a technician reported. Should we stop? Wait, Dr. Mason said. Look at the adaptation curve. On her monitor, a line representing Zach's neural integration began to level out. Inside the pod, Zach felt the chaos in his mind slowly organizing itself. The Titan systems began to feel like extensions of his own body. He took a step in the virtual environment, then another. Soon he was walking, then running. The weapon systems came online at his thoughts. This is amazing, he exclaimed. In the observation room, the adults watched in astonishment as Zach completed combat scenarios that had overwhelmed adult pilots. It's working, Dr. Mason said. He's actually controlling it. Commander Wright nodded reluctantly. Prepare the actual Titan. We'll call it Atlas. As they moved toward the hangar, Dr. Mason gently pulled Zach aside. You don't have to do this, she said quietly. It's not your fight. Zach thought about his home, his friends, his father. Yes, it is, he replied. I'm scared, but I want to help. When they reached the hangar, Atlas, the blue and silver Titan, stood ready, its cockpit open and waiting. The sky above Elysium Colony burned orange as Caraxian scout ships streaked through the atmosphere. They were sleek predatory vessels designed for quick strikes against planetary defenses. 5 of them had landed at the colony's edge, deploying ground troops, armored aliens standing 3 meters tall with integrated weapon systems. Colony defense forces were outmatched. Their weapons barely dented the Caraxian armor, and they were being pushed back block by block toward the evacuation centers. In the Titan hangar, technicians rushed to prepare Atlas for deployment. The massive machine stood in its launch cradle, while power cables and coolant lines disconnected one by one. Zach sat in the cockpit, now wearing a fitted neural interface suit. His heart pounded as Dr. Mason made final adjustments. Remember your training, she said. though both knew that 3 hours of simulation hardly counted as training. The Titan's systems will feel overwhelming at first, but your mind will adapt. Commander Wright's voice came through the comm system. This is against my better judgment, but we're out of options. Your mission is simple. Buy us time. Engage the scout force long enough for the last evacuation ships to launch, then retreat. Zack nodded, his mouth too dry to speak. Initiating. Neural handshake, Dr. Mason announced, stepping back from the cockpit. The door sealed with a hiss. Darkness surrounded Zack momentarily. Then his mind exploded with information as Atlas's systems connected to his consciousness. It felt like his body had suddenly grown 30 meters tall and gained incredible strength. He could sense every part of the massive machine as if it were his own flesh. Neural handshake complete, the Titan's AI reported. Synchronization at 87% and rising. Outside the hangar, a massive door began to open, revealing the colony's outskirts and the fires burning beyond. Atlas is ready for deployment, Dr. Mason reported from the control room. Synchronization is steady at 92%, better than any simulation. Launch when ready, Commander Wright ordered, and may God help us all. The restraints holding Atlas released. Zack took a deep breath and thought about walking. The Titan responded instantly, stepping forward with a thunderous impact that shook the hangar. It's working, Zack exclaimed, his voice tinged with disbelief. He guided Atlas through the hangar door and into the open. The Titan's head towered above most buildings, giving Zack a clear view of the battlefield. Through enhanced optics, he could see colony forces retreating from the advancing Caraxians. Enemy spotted, Zack reported, surprised by how calm his voice sounded. Inside, he was terrified. Weapon systems online, the Titan's AI announced. Primary cannon charged. Zack raised Atlas's arm, targeting the nearest Caraxian scout ship. The targeting system locked on, and with a thought, he fired. A blast of blue energy erupted from Atlas's arm cannon, striking the alien vessel and cutting through its hull like paper. The ship exploded in a ball of green fire. The remaining Caraxian forces immediately turned their attention to this new threat. Ground troops fired energy weapons at Atlas, their shots creating ripples in the Titan's shield system. Shield integrity at 95%, the AI reported. Zack moved Atlas forward, each step covering massive distance. The ground trembled beneath the Titan's feet as he charged toward the alien forces. I can't believe it, Dr. Mason whispered, watching. The battle through remote cameras. He's actually fighting them. On the battlefield, Zack found that controlling Atlas came naturally now. The Titan responded to his thoughts instantly, moving with surprising grace for such a massive machine. He stomped on Caraxian ground troops, swatted their vehicles aside, and fired precision shots at their reinforcements. News of the fighting Titan spread through the colony. People paused their evacuation to watch video feeds of the battle. A giant machine, piloted by a child, was standing against the unstoppable Caraxians. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered across Elysium Colony. The last evacuation ships need 10 more minutes, Commander Wright informed Zack. Can you hold them that long? Zack, now fully synchronized with Atlas, replied with confidence he didn't know he possessed. I can hold them as long as you need. Word spread quickly through Elysium Colony about the child who could control a Titan. Children old enough to understand the situation began asking their parents if they could help too. Within days, dozens of young volunteers arrived at the military base. Dr. Mason established a testing facility to screen potential pilots. Most children showed no special connection to the Titan systems, but 3 stood out. Emma Lewis, a quiet 14-year-old with exceptional focus, Josh Carter, a 13-year-old math prodigy, and Lily Ramirez, an 11-year-old gymnast. Zack met the other children in the training room, where simplified Titan control interfaces had been set up. You actually fought them? Josh asked, eyes wide with admiration. Zack nodded. It's scary at first, but then it feels like the Titan becomes part of you. Dr. Mason entered with Commander Wright. We've activated 3 more Titans, she announced. Each has a slightly different configuration, but all operate on the same neural principle. We still don't like this, Wright added grimly. Using children as pilots goes against everything we stand for. But the Caraxian main fleet will reach us in 2 weeks, and we need every advantage. The training intensified. Each child developed a unique connection with their assigned Titan. Emma's machine, called Athena, specialized in long-range combat. Josh's Titan Hermes was built for speed and reconnaissance. Lily's unit, Diana, featured advanced stealth capabilities. As days passed, Zach noticed how each pilot's personality influenced their fighting style. Emma was methodical and precise. Josh was constantly moving, never staying still for long. Lily was creative, finding unexpected approaches to challenges. Zach himself tended to be protective, often positioning Atlas to shield others. They're not just controlling the Titans, Dr. Mason observed during a training exercise. They're bonding with them. The children spent hours in simulation, learning to work as a team. At night, they slept in a special dormitory, where medical staff monitored their brain patterns. The neural connection to the Titans was changing them in subtle ways, enhancing their spatial awareness and reaction times. One evening, as they rested, after training, Emma voiced the concern they all shared. Does anyone else have nightmares about the Caraxians? They all did. The responsibility weighed heavily on them. The day the main Caraxian fleet arrived, the colony went into full alert. Massive warships appeared in orbit, their hulls bristling with weapons. Long-range scans showed they carried hundreds of ground troops and attack vessels. In the Titan hangar, the 4 children prepared for battle. Technicians helped them into their neural interface suits while military officers briefed them on strategy. This isn't a skirmish like before, Commander Wright told them. This is war. Your job is to protect the colony's defensive batteries so they can target the Caraxian ships. If those batteries fall, we lose everything. Zach looked at his fellow pilots, seeing his own fear reflected in their eyes. They were just kids, but today they would fight to save their home. Launch sequence initiated, the control room announced. The 4 Titans dropped from deployment ships at different points around the colony perimeter. They landed with earth-shaking impacts, causing dust clouds to billow around their massive feet. Zach felt Atlas's systems fully integrate with his mind. Through the Titan's enhanced vision, he saw Caraxian drop ships descending by the dozens. The alien ground forces deployed in perfect formation, their weapons already firing at the colony's outer defenses. Everyone ready? Zach asked through the comm system. Ready, Emma replied, Athena's long-range cannons humming to life. Let's do this, Josh said, Hermes already moving into position. I'm scared, Lily admitted, but Diana and I are ready. The Caraxian commander, observing from orbit, noticed the 4 massive machines moving to intercept his forces. Unlike human, military leaders, he felt no moral qualms about fighting children. He simply identified a new threat and adjusted his strategy accordingly. Target the walking machines, he ordered. Use the sonic disruptors. The battle for Elysium Colony had begun. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Titan children fought valiantly, destroying dozens of Caraxian vessels and hundreds of ground troops. Their neural connections with the massive machines grew stronger with each passing hour, allowing them to perform maneuvers that defied the Titan's original design parameters. But the strain was beginning to show. In the command center, Dr. Mason monitored the children's vital signs with growing concern. Their stress levels are dangerously high, she reported to Commander Wright, especially Lily's. On the battlefield, Lily and Diana were surrounded by Caraxian troops. The 11-year-old girl had shown remarkable skill, using her Titan's stealth capabilities to ambush enemy positions. But now the aliens had adapted, using heat sensors to track Diana despite her cloaking system. I need backup. Lily's voice came through the comms, higher pitched than normal. There's too many of them. Hermes is on the way, Josh responded, his Titan sprinting across the ruined landscape. Inside Diana's cockpit, warning lights flashed as Caraxian weapons battered the Titan's shields. Lily's heart rate spiked, and her breathing became erratic. Lily, your vitals are showing extreme stress, Dr. Mason said. Try the calming techniques we practiced. I can't, Lily gasped. They're everywhere. I can't think. Suddenly, Diana froze in place. The neural connection wavered as Lily experienced a full panic attack. Neural synchronization failing, Diana's AI reported. Pilot experiencing psychological distress. Emergency protocols engaged. Lily! Zack shouted through the comm. He turned Atlas away from his position and ran toward Diana, smashing through. Caraxian formations in his path. Josh, hold your position, Commander Wright ordered. You need to protect the southern battery. But Lily, that's an order, Cadet. Zack reached Diana just as the Titan began to fall. Without thinking, he pushed Atlas's neural interface to its limits, reaching out with his mind toward the failing machine. Something unexpected happened. For a brief moment, Zack felt his consciousness split between Atlas and Diana. It was disorienting and painful, but he managed to stabilize Diana long enough to fire her thrusters, preventing a catastrophic fall. I've got you, Lily, he grunted, the strain of controlling two Titans simultaneously causing blood to trickle from his nose. Just breathe. Inside Diana, Lily curled into a ball, overwhelmed by fear and the chaos of battle. Her connection to the Titan had nearly collapsed completely. Dr. Mason watched in astonishment as readings showed Zack partially connected to both Titans. This is impossible, she whispered. He's creating a bridge between the neural interfaces. Zack guided Diana behind the colony's defensive wall, while maintaining Atlas's defensive posture against approaching Caraxians. The dual control lasted only 2 minutes before he had to release Diana, but it was enough to save Lily. Medical teams rushed to extract her from the cockpit. As they carried her away on a stretcher, her eyes were vacant, her small body trembling uncontrollably. In the aftermath, as the Caraxians temporarily withdrew to regroup, the adults faced a harsh reality. Commander Wright called an emergency meeting with colony leadership. This has gone too far, he said, slamming his fist on the table. These are children, not weapons. Lily might have permanent psychological damage. Dr. Mason looked exhausted. I agree it's unacceptable, but without the Titans, the colony falls. We need to find another solution. Paul Bennett, Zack's father, had been granted access to the meeting due to his son's involvement. My boy comes home after each battle with nosebleeds and nightmares, he said. There has to be another way. Meanwhile, in the Titan hangar, Zack and the remaining pilots sat in silence. Josh kept hitting a wall with his fist. Emma stared at nothing, her face blank. Zack couldn't stop thinking about how he'd briefly controlled two Titans. I felt something when I connected to Diana, he finally said. Like there's a deeper level to the neural interface we haven't accessed yet. Emma looked up. What do you mean? I think the Titans were designed to do more than just fight, Zack said. I think they're meant to work together somehow. Connected. In the medical bay, Lily lay sedated, her brain scans showing unusual patterns. The neural connection had changed her, perhaps permanently. As doctors worked to stabilize her condition, no one noticed the small flickers of light that occasionally appeared at her fingertips, an echo of Diana's energy systems now somehow integrated into the child's nervous system. The Caraxians would return at dawn, stronger than before, and time was running out for the defenders of Elysium. Dr. Mason worked through the night, analyzing data from Zack's unexpected dual Titan control. By morning, she had developed a theory that could change everything. The neural load is too much for a single mind, she explained to Commander Wright and the assembled team. But what if we split it between two people? A child to handle the adaptive neural pathways and an adult to manage the tactical systems. Wright looked skeptical. You're saying 2 pilots per Titan? Exactly. A dual pilot system. Dr. Mason pulled up a modified cockpit design on the display. The child establishes the primary neural connection, then an adult connects through them, creating a balanced load. Paul Bennett stepped forward. I'll volunteer to pair with Zack. Other adults came forward too. Emma's mother, a retired pilot. Josh's uncle, a combat veteran. And for Lily, if she recovered, her older sister who worked in colony security. Meanwhile, a massive Caraxian vessel appeared in orbit. Unlike their previous ships, this one dwarfed everything else. Colony sensors classified it as a carrier, capable of launching hundreds of attack craft. "We're detecting unusual energy readings," an officer reported. "They're preparing something big." In the medical bay, Lily woke up. Her doctors were surprised by her rapid recovery. "I need to go back," she insisted. "I can feel Diana calling me." "Absolutely not," the chief medical officer replied. "Your brain scans show abnormal activity. You need rest." But Lily knew something the doctors didn't. During her connection with the Titan, she had glimpsed something, a hidden protocol buried deep in Diana's systems. Something about synthesis. When the doctors stepped out, Lily slipped away, heading for the Titan hangar. The engineering team worked frantically to modify the Titans for dual piloting. New neural interface modules were installed, and the cockpits were reconfigured to accommodate 2 people. "This is experimental technology," Dr. Mason warned the volunteers. "We haven't tested it properly." "There's no time for testing," Wright replied, watching orbital scans. "The carrier's deploying strike forces. They'll hit us within the hour." Zach and his father entered Atlas's modified cockpit first. The neural interfaces attached to both of them, then to each other, creating a 3-point connection: child, adult, and machine. Neural handshake initiating. The AI announced. Primary pilot, Zach Bennett. Secondary pilot, Paul Bennett. The connection felt different this time. Zach sensed his father's presence in his mind, strong and supportive. Together, they reached out to Atlas, and the Titan responded with unprecedented precision. "Synchronization at 98%, Dr. Mason reported, amazed. "It's working better than I predicted." Emma and Josh, now paired with their family members, reported similar results. Their Titans moved with greater control and power than before. As the 3 Titans prepared to launch, Lily arrived at the hangar. She evaded security and made her way to Diana, climbing into the cockpit alone. "Lily, stop!" Dr. Mason called over the intercom. "You need a second pilot." "No," Lily replied calmly. "I need to show you something. Diana and I found it together." Before anyone could stop her, Lily activated the neural interface. This time, instead of fighting the connection, she embraced it completely, diving deeper into the Titan's systems than any pilot had gone before. "Synthesis protocol activated," Diana's AI announced, using words not in its programmed vocabulary. Lily's body began to glow with the same energy that powered Diana's systems. The Titan's armor plates shifted, opening in new configurations as internal systems rearranged themselves. "What's happening?" Wright demanded. Dr. Mason studied the readings in disbelief. "She's accessing something hidden in the Titan's core programming, some kind of evolution protocol." Diana stood, now transformed. Her bulky frame had become sleeker, more organic in appearance. Energy coursed visibly through channels that resembled veins. Lily's voice came through the comm, but it had a harmonic quality, as if Diana was speaking simultaneously. "We are ready. We have become one." Outside, the Caraxian carrier began its attack. A massive energy weapon charged at its center, aimed directly at the colony's main dome. "All Titans deploy now," Commander Wright ordered. "This is our last stand." The 4 Titans launched, racing toward the incoming Caraxian forces. Behind them, the fate of Elysium Colony hung in the balance. But Zach had seen what Lily accomplished, and he understood. The hidden capability he had sensed was real. The true potential of the Titans was about to be revealed. The Caraxian carrier dominated the sky above Elysium, its massive shadow darkening the colony below. Energy gathered at the ship's central cannon, building toward a blast that would pierce the colony's main dome. The 4 Titans stood together at the edge of the settlement, facing overwhelming odds. Hundreds of Caraxian fighters swarmed toward them, while ground forces advanced in perfect formation. Inside Atlas, Zach and his father shared a moment of understanding. They had both seen what Lily and Diana had achieved through synthesis, and Zack knew what they needed to do. "Everyone listen," Zack said through the comm. "There's another level to the Titan connection. Lily found it first, but I think we can all reach it." "What are you talking about?" Emma asked, her voice tense as Athena's targeting systems locked onto approaching enemies. "The Titans weren't designed just to be piloted," Zack explained. "They were designed to merge with us completely, human and machine becoming one." Commander Wright's voice cut in. "That's not in any of the technical specifications." "Because it was hidden," Dr. Mason replied, excitement in her voice despite the dire situation. "The synthesis protocol must have been embedded deep in their core programming, waiting for the right pilots." The Caraxian attack began. Energy blasts rained down as fighters streaked past, targeting the Titans with precision weapons. "We don't have time to debate this," Zack said. "Dad, I need you to trust me." Paul Bennett nodded inside the shared cockpit. "I'm with you, son." Zack closed his eyes and reached deeper into Atlas's systems, past the control interfaces, past the operational parameters, into the very heart of the machine. His father's presence anchored him, preventing his consciousness from being overwhelmed. "Atlas, initiate synthesis," Zack whispered. The Titan's chest plates separated, revealing a pulsing core of energy. Light enveloped both pilots as the neural connection transcended its original design. Human consciousness and machine intelligence began to merge. Seeing what was happening, Emma and Josh followed suit with their Titans. Energy flowed around them as Athena and Hermes also transformed, their bodies becoming more fluid, more alive. The transformed Titans moved with impossible grace. Atlas leapt into the air higher than its mass should allow and struck a Caraxian fighter with a fist now glowing with energy. The ship exploded into fragments. Athena raised her arms and dozens of energy projectiles formed around her, launching with perfect accuracy to intercept incoming enemies. Hermes moved so quickly he appeared as little more than a blur, destroying ground forces before they could react. Diana, with Lily fully integrated into her systems, phased between visibility and invisibility as she attacked, appearing suddenly among Caraxian troops before vanishing again. In the command center, the adults watched in awe. "The synthesis is creating new capabilities," Dr. Mason said. "The Titans are evolving as they fight." The battle turned. Where before the children had struggled to hold back the Caraxian forces, now they pushed forward with unstoppable momentum. The alien ground troops broke formation for the first time, retreating toward their landing craft. But the carrier loomed above, its main weapon nearly charged. If it fired, the colony would be destroyed despite the Titan's success on the ground. "We need to stop that ship," Zack communicated to the others, not through words but through the shared connection they now all experienced. The four Titans gathered together. Energy flowed between them, connecting them in a circuit of power. Together, they raised their hands toward the Caraxian carrier. "What are they doing?" Wright asked. Dr. Mason shook her head. "Something not in any manual." A beam of combined energy, drawing from all four Titans, shot upward toward the carrier. It struck the alien vessel's weapon just as it prepared to fire. The resulting feedback created a cascade failure throughout the ship's systems. The Caraxian carrier broke apart, massive chunks falling harmlessly into the ocean beyond the colony. The remaining alien forces, seeing their command ship destroyed, retreated from Elysium's orbit. The cost of victory was high. When the Titans returned to their hangar and the synthesis protocol ended, the pilots emerged forever changed. Their minds had been stretched beyond normal human limits, giving them abilities no one understood yet. Lily could manipulate small energy fields with her hands. Emma developed perfect recall. Josh could calculate complex equations instantly. Zack found he could sense and influence electronic systems with a touch. The neural connection rewrote parts of their brain structure, Dr. Mason explained to colony leadership. They're still human, but enhanced. 6 months later, a memorial statue was erected in Elysium's central plaza, depicting the four Titans standing guard over the colony. The children who had piloted them were celebrated as heroes, but relieved of military duty by unanimous decision. They were, after all, still children, As for the Titans, they remained in their hangar, awaiting the day when they might be needed again. But the technology had changed warfare forever.